Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Breaking the Silence. I'm Cassie, and you all know our host and founder, Rochelle.
Hi, viewers.
So, today is a very special day. We're going to be featuring our very own Rochelle, who we know and love, and the topic is about purpose. Um, we don't often talk about, well, we often celebrate purpose, but we don't talk about the sacrifice that comes behind it, right? And this is what we're talking about today, the cost of answering God's calling. And we're going to kind of get a little up close and personal with Rochelle about it and her journey answering her calling and the sacrifices that she had to go through as well. Now, Rochelle, before we talk about, the hardships and the battles, let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about where it all began, right? Where did it start? How did you know that this was your purpose? Because a lot of us, we fall into things and get comfortable and just do it because that's what we've been doing. How did you know the difference between this is just something you're doing or this is just something that feels good or that this is your purpose and your calling?
Okay, so looking back, I remember always asking God, what is really my purpose? You see everybody living in their purpose, the musicians, the singers, the artists, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves you to think, so where do I fit in? What am
Mm-hmm.
I really meant to do on this earth? Who am I really meant to impact?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a question that I wrestled with for years because it just felt like home, well, at the time, school, work, back home, and it almost felt like I was just existing and I wasn't really impacting or contributing to society in any way or having a meaningful ministry
Like
where
the
I could
passion was
write,
missing.
where I can impact persons in whatever way. Like what is really my gift? What am I
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
doing? And if you're new here, in 2024, I was clinically diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And during that time, I found myself, because I was isolated in my room for over a month, I
Mm-hmm.
found myself doing things that I did not usually do. I watched a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of Christian based books. I developed a routine where around 4 a.m. I would watch a sermon, I would listen to worship songs, I would pray, I would read my Bible, and so on. And looking back now, I can say, oh, that was God preparing me for where I am now. Now, to answer your question of how do I distinguish whether this is really my purpose or not,
Mm-hmm.
since I've started this podcast, Cassie, you know, nothing comes before this podcast. When I say
Mm-hmm.
nothing, absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not even my 9 to 5 comes before this. As unbelievable as it sounds, that
It's not
is
unbelievable.
that
It
is
is
the
not.
hard truth.
As human beings, Rochelle, we go where the passion is.
Right.
Where you feel fulfilled, it
Mm,
is hard to forget about it. So it's
yes.
not that hard to believe.
Yes. And I would be sitting at my desk because I work from home. I'd be sitting at my desk and I would be doing a 9 to 5 work related task without even putting thought into it. When I check myself, I am on a BTS schedule. And that is how I know this is what I was called to do. This is what ignites a flame inside of me. This is what makes me happy. This is what I look forward to when I get up on a morning. And it's not just the feeling of doing the BTS related things like the podcast, the peer
Hmm.
support and empowerment sessions, and so on, but knowing that persons are benefiting from my obedience to God's calling,
Mm-hmm.
me saying yes to him. There are a lot of persons benefiting from that in whatever way, form, or fashion. Maybe they were just listening to the podcast and they can resonate with something.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing it from a different perspective, or maybe they reach out to me for a person empowerment session, and or you even, and we have been guiding them along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing this, it makes me feel good, and then it makes me think, what if I had said no to that calling? Because I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. I was never somebody that would put myself out there on social media. And me taking that bold step and doing that, this is why I'm seated here today with you, and impacting lives and hoping to continue impacting lives.
I want to ask you, when you said that during your hard period, you would have a routine at 4 a.m., you would listen to your sermons and whatnot. Was that in an attempt to get out of the depression or get out of whatever rut you were in or what you were feeling?
Not necessarily an attempt to get out of the depression, but I felt like nobody else could understand me during the period that I was in but God.
Okay.
When I woke up at 4 a.m., everywhere was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst I listened to those sermons, those podcasts, worship, and so on,
Mm-hmm.
I could have felt the connection between God and myself through the Holy Spirit.
Right.
So this is what really made me, wake up at 4 a.m. And the podcast, especially, when you're depressed, well, for me, in my case, I was isolated, right? I was in my room. So obviously there, if I'm not sleeping, because I slept a lot, I
Mm-hmm.
would find something to do. And just listening to persons' testimonies through those podcasts made me realize that there's hope for me.
Okay.
Because there were times I wanted to give up. Like a month or months are passing by and I'm not getting better. Like, why is this happening to me, Father? Why can't I just feel better? Why can't I do simple tasks?
Mm.
It was very, I don't even have the words for it. So just listening to other persons on the podcast give the testimony and seeing that now they're flourishing gave me a bit of hope.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it sounds like you discovered your purpose through your pain.
Yes.
That, and that's very interesting, and that makes me think. A lot of times when something bad happens, we see it as bad. What if it was meant to break us out of a certain cycle, to stop us in our tracks and make us pay attention
Right.
to see what we're actually supposed to be doing?
Right.
What if we change our mindset when something happens? Instead of just seeing it as bad immediately and saying, oh, why is this happening to me? We try to figure out, okay, this thing happened. While it's not a great experience,
Mm-hmm.
I need to go deeper and see why this is happening. What am I looking for? God,
Right.
what are you trying to tell me?
Exactly. And that's what I often tell people. In the
Mm.
moment, you will see things from the most negative standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But always bring yourself back and ask yourself, God, what is it that you're trying to teach me in this season? Because I did not only discover my purpose through this season, but I developed character through this season.
Mm.
Because the Rochelle back then would not have done something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just putting myself out there, sharing my testimony in that very first video, it started something. And this process is still building character in myself and even in you too, because we see how much we've grown, how much
Mm-hmm.
we've learned.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of God's preparation for where we are
Yeah.
today.
Putting yourself out there really develops you as a person.
It
You
does.
sometimes you surprise yourself and you're able to do things that you didn't think that you could do before,
Let me tell you.
and really showing you, okay, no limits. I can
Mm,
do this.
mm-hmm.
Let's see how far I can go.
Right.
And I'm thinking now, the things we call hardships, maybe that's what they're meant to do,
To mold us
to
into who
to
we.
help us
Mhm.
overcome it and show us I can this is chump change, this is petty cash for me. I can do this. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So, and listen, we just started and I'm already learning something that I should perceive my hardships in a different way, or I should have a different mindset towards it. And that can affect me having a better experience
Experience,
where
right.
I am learning and I am being molded. I am actually becoming a better person for it than just staying in the misery of it and staying as a victim.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that many people have misconceptions about finding your purpose because sometimes people think that once you found it, oh, the work is done, everything just falls right into place and everything is perfect and fine. But that's not usually the case. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And while there are moments it doesn't feel like work because it's your passion and you're happy doing it and you're enjoying yourself. There are still also moments behind the scenes that people don't see that can be very stressful. The back and forth, the collaborations, the scheduling, the social media, the constant posting, even filming. People think is easy. You just sit down and you just talk. But it takes planning, it takes staying on track with the points that you want to hit. It takes, yes, there's an aspect of it where you speak, but in order to create the finished product, it takes effort. And it can sometimes be lonely. And there were times where I was afraid that you would walk away because we both had our moments where it felt like a lot, sometimes too much. Because we have our lives, we have jobs, and we have our families that we're taking care of. So I want to know a little bit more about the times that you almost walked away and what kept you going.
Mhm. And just you saying that making me a little emotional. Um, I've wanted to walk away many times, more times than I can count on my hands. And as you said, when people hear purpose and you walking in your purpose, they think it's a bed
Rosie.
of roses, right? But it's not. It's the purpose is just the beginning. Discovering the purpose is just the beginning. There have been times where I cried to God and I said, Father, I cannot do both. I cannot do the 9 to 5 and I cannot um do breaking the silence. How can I steward both? I one has to give, like I have to leave one. And the obvious thing to me was to leave BTS because the 9 to 5 is what is actually funding BTS.
Yeah.
If I were to leave the 9 to 5, there would probably be
We
no
know BTS.
BTS.
Yeah.
Um,
It's almost like you feel trapped a little bit where you forced to do both.
yes, yes. Like, how do I steward my 9 to 5 whilst obeying God's calling and carrying BTS? There's a lot that goes. So imagine you working a 9 to 5. You have all your other tasks to do as it relates to your 9 to 5, and then people see the final product as Cassie said, but there's a lot of admin work that goes into it. I first have to research on the topics. I have to look for suitable guests. I have to pray to God and ask Him for discernment that the persons I'm bringing into the Breaking the Silence space, He approves of them. It's not just any random person. I have to prepare scripts. I have to do the editing. I have to upload videos. I have to manage social media. And that's just the podcast aspect. Then there's a peer support. Remember when we had just started the peer support, how much of a toll that was taking on us because we were just getting into it and trying to understand how we should make this work and how we should balance things, and the women support group, and then there's just so much. And let's not forget the financial aspect of it. There are times you're wondering how are we going to do that, because there are guests that do have appearance fees. How are you going to do that? We don't have a physical studio as yet, and this is us being vulnerable and telling you how exactly it is, because persons, they see the final product, but a lot goes into it. A lot of prayers, a lot of tears, a lot of sacrifices go into it. And I'm so grateful that you have been, by my side through it all, because I cannot imagine me doing everything alone, Cassie. And I just want to say that I appreciate you coming on board so much, because I swear to God that I could not have done it without you.
Even with you saying that, I still feel like I need to be doing more. It's just that we both are in different places in our life
Right.
and we're doing the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice we're the type of people, I wouldn't say perfectionist, but everything that we do, we want to give it 110%. So when you're doing so many things and you're feeling like you're not able to give each thing its 110%, you start to feel
Yeah, like
like
you're
you're not doing good
doing
enough.
enough.
And that's where I think that's the trap. It's where that's what starts the cycle of feeling overwhelmed and feeling I'm not doing enough and I'm not doing good enough and this and that and all. Like I think, what's worked for me is acceptance that
Mm,
I'm doing the best that I can.
yeah. I think some people think um you have to have it all together for you
Yeah.
to start.
Mm-hmm.
But just start,
Mm-hmm.
and things will work out the way that it's meant to work out. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you have to wait until everything is perfect, the perfect day, the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, you will never start.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that the places where God often stretches us the most is the place where He actually wants to use us the greatest. So you may feel like you're being stretched thin, but that is God preparing you for what's to come. Because him putting you through whatever it is that you're going through, as I said earlier, it's building character in you for you to be able to face even greater things in the future.
So I want to talk about something I've heard Rochelle mention a lot, and that is spiritual warfare. Every time she's doing something, where it be she's planning or she's coordinating, collaborating, and things are going okay, but then all of a sudden something happens. It's something she was maybe really excited for and it was going well, and then all of a sudden something strange happens out of the blue, unexpected, which those things happen in life, but sometimes it can happen in a way where it feels out of the norm.
Mm.
And I've heard you talk about spiritual warfare. I've heard you mention it. So I want to know a little more about it. I want you to go deeper into that.
I think spiritual warfare is a very difficult thing to explain, because you're genuinely trying to do what you believe God has called you to do, then things are hitting you from all different directions. And for me, spiritual warfare does not always happen in a dramatic spiritual way,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes it's something ordinary. Sometimes old habits start resurfacing. Sometimes you're being tempted in all from all different directions. You start feeling overwhelmed. You start feeling disappointed because things don't go the way that you wanted to go. And when all of these things happen, the frustration and disappointment can turn into discouragement, right? And then you start telling yourself, God, why me? I don't think I am good enough or I'm worthy enough to do this. I cannot keep doing that because it just gets too overwhelming. But what we don't realize is that when we become overwhelmed, discouraged, disappointed, the enemy uses that to distract us from what God has actually called us to do.
So it's interesting that you said it can be ordinary and it can come in the form of feeling discouraged and stuff like that. I actually thought you were going to go down the route of an attack, an
That's why I said
external attack.
that's why I said it's not always like a
Right,
dramatic spiritual
right.
experience. It can be ordinary or it can be a dramatic
So you're
spiritual
saying that
experience.
it's not always an external attack from somebody else. It can also be within yourself, as you said, temptation and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why I said it's kind of difficult to explain because, for instance, last week we were supposed to film, that did not happen. Then I think the following day or 2 days after, you had something come up and you were not able to film. So when you have things like that happening to you back to back, it can get frustrating, it can get discouraging, but we have to understand that that may not necessarily be a spiritual attack. Like it can just be a
Life happens.
right, life happen, it can just be an inconvenience,
Yeah.
right? So I think during that period or just going through things like that, I feel like God is building character within me in terms of patience, flexibility, being more compassionate, being more understanding, because these things will happen, right? So I need to, and if I'm going to be helping people and impacting people, I need to know how to handle people and understand that people have things going on that I may not know anything about.
Right.
But to go back to what you said, there can be like real spiritual attacks.
Now you see that part of it. I don't know if I'm ignorant for
Like
saying
how to
this,
discern it.
right? Because it's not. I didn't grow up seeing it as a real thing.
Mm.
Not, not. I'm not saying that it's not real. I
Mm-hmm.
know in the spiritual world there are things that exist, right? But the way I was raised, it's not really, I don't perceive it that way, like as a factor in anything, or I'm being attacked.
Mm.
I tend to see it as that's just life, and
Mm.
I just have to keep doing the best that I can, if you understand what I'm
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
saying. There's a thin line because it can be just life and it can be the devil or the enemy actively trying to stop you from doing what God has called you to do. Because if he's able to stop you, like when you feel burnt out, you feel overwhelmed, you feel stressed, right? If he gets you to that point, then you won't give off your best when it comes to fulfilling your purpose. So he knows, if you had to impact somebody, that person will not get impacted because
Yeah.
you're in a vulnerable state
Right.
where you start having negative thoughts. You will not be able to show up as your best self.
Okay.
So it's very tricky.
Okay.
And that's why we have to pray about it and ask God to protect us from the snares of the enemy.
Okay. So as somebody like me who is not as versed in knowing if something is an attack versus when something is just like, again, it's just, we are all brought up in different ways,
Right.
and my mind just never goes there. Like when something bad is happening, my mind just doesn't go to, oh, I'm being attacked. It goes to, that's part of life, things happen, or maybe God is trying to show me something, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. Like it I go into logical mode and I'm trying to figure out what I need to shift or what I need to change. So I want to know, for you, somebody who you're more aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know the difference between, oh, that's just life, these things happen, and when you feel like you're actually being attacked, or it's something is trying to intervene into your purpose.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. The guest we were supposed to have on last week and you were not able to film,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, I'm seeing that as just life happening,
Right.
right? Like it was an unforeseen circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of you had any control. I was beyond your control.
Right.
But let's say we're planning this event, this retreat,
Mm-hmm.
and we've done all the planning, we've gotten everything, and the day of, everything seems to be going wrong. One after the other.
Mm.
I would say that as a spiritual attack. But that does not tell me, or that should not tell me, that I need to give up. Although I may feel in the moment that I should just give up. I, with the Holy Spirit, need to fight against it. If you understand what I'm saying. It can get very tricky and very complicated.
So how do you fight? Like, what are some of the things
You pray,
Mm.
right? When you see things not going right, you pray, you try to just go with the flow instead of just giving up. And sometimes, I don't know if you've experienced that, where everything seemed to be going wrong, but at the end of it all, it worked out in a way that you never imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what spiritual warfare is. The enemy, the Holy Spirit. The enemy is trying to stop you from doing what the Holy Spirit the Holy Spirit wants you to do. But you have to use the tools that the Holy Spirit has given to you in terms of prayer, asking people to intercede on your behalf, or not just necessarily asking, but people interceding on your behalf, reading the Bible, covering the event that you're going to host even before it happens, because you know that that's something the enemy does not want to happen, because that will impact people in a positive way.
Mm.
So as I said, there's a very thin line between it's just, an ordinary life circumstance, and the devil is really trying to get at you. Even persons, let's say you want to devote your life to Christ, right? In a situation like that, the devil would try every way for you to not say yes to God.
Mm.
The devil might tell you or give you thoughts like, oh, if I give my life to God, I will no longer be able to, let's say you're a Seventh-day Adventist, I will no longer be able to work on a Saturday. How will I provide for my family? So the devil will give you thoughts like that, thoughts that will prevent you from making the right choice and giving your life to Christ. But in a situation like that, I'm speaking for myself, I don't know how other persons, you have to be willing to give up that job, right? Or at least explain to your employer first to see if they can give you another shift or something for you not to work on a Saturday. And if I know, I just by looking at you and your expression, I know that's not something that you would probably do.
Oh.
And if they choose not to give you that day, then you have to leave the job, because you have to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added onto you.
It's not that it's something I wouldn't do. It's just an interesting, it's a different perspective from mine. That's all it is. Because again, your background and the way that you're raised can be, and I've been raised in the church as a Catholic and all of that, but I've also, from my own experiences with God, I've also gained my own knowledge of what I feel is happening when things are happening to me, right? So I was just taking in your perspective. For me, I have a different perspective. Because, though, if we have to talk about that, we'll go very deep. Because for me, I have a lot of questions about that.
All right, so that can be an episode in
that
itself.
can be its own episode when you talk about the enemy and all of that. I have so many questions because in my mind, it's like, why? Like there's just, as we said, a thin line, and it's hard to explain. But spirituality is something that's very, very, there are a lot of different perspectives out there, and people have based off of their own life experience. They
Mm-hmm.
believe what they believe. There are some people, because
Yeah,
of their culture,
they will perceive
they
things differently.
exactly, you know. And the only thing I want to say about this is when it comes to spirituality and God, people need to respect each other's
Of
choices and
course,
beliefs,
always.
you know, because even that plays a part into their own purpose. Maybe
Mm.
they were supposed to believe what they believe to do certain things that God wants them to do, right? So for me, it's not about wrong or right. And listen, we don't know who's wrong or right. That's what I believe.
Mm.
I do not agree with making people feel bad about
Their
their
beliefs.
beliefs, because you never know, they probably had some prophecy or some big event happen to them that is what they're holding on to, keeping them
Mm.
going. So it's to me, it's a personal thing. And thank you for explaining that. And
Yeah,
I
sure.
respect it. And I'm always willing to learn more and to have a better understanding into
Mm-hmm.
your perspectives when it
Yeah.
comes to those things.
And even when you're somebody that's spiritual and the Holy Spirit lives within you, you're better able to discern when
Mm-hmm.
it's just a life event or
Right.
the devil is really at you. And that's when you should pray more, fast, and really fight the devil head on with the
Mm-hmm.
tools that God has given us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting when you just said fast, because I fast,
Mm-hmm.
but not necessarily
For
for
spiritual
spiritual. So, but
reasons.
and even when you were talking about an event and things happening back to back to back,
Mm-hmm.
and like sometimes things can just work out towards the end. Even with my perspective that might be different from yours, I can still relate to that outcome.
Mm.
That sometimes I'm seeing, oh my gosh, nothing going right, Rochelle, what is going on? What am I missing? What do I need to look at? What do I need to change? What do I need to fix? But I still experience it how you just said, where you think everything is going wrong and then eventually it ends up working out. So
That can be God's
it's,
way of
yes, so
building
sometimes we
character.
might have different
Mm.
perspectives on certain things,
But we
but
have the
then
same outcome.
we still have similar experiences and similar outcomes. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that should bring us together and we should be, talking to each other about those things. So
Yeah.
so Rochelle, um everything you've said so far, it sounds like your purpose is borderline your entire life. Like it's taken over, right?
It's like that at times.
And I will say that it could get unhealthy a little bit, because you've had moments where you're overwhelmed, and I will tell you, Rochelle, it's okay. Like, try to remember the beginning. We wanted to do this out of passion and love for it and wanting to help people. And there should be an ease and a calmness and a joy and at our own pace that comes with that. While I understand we have certain commitments, sometimes we have to push, even when we're tired, because our people out there, they're waiting for us to put out the videos, they're waiting for us to have the events and stuff like that. At the same time, it loses its value if we frazzled
Mm.
and we stressed and we overwhelmed.
Right. We
And
can pour from
so
an empty cup.
sometimes I feel like you forget the balance, and you let it take over everything.
Guys, she putting me on the spot. She putting me on the spot. Cut the show. Cut the show.
So, and it happens to the best of us. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to me too. When you have to
Mm.
give me my pressure, you give me my pressure. Because they have times you've had to pull me up and tell me, no, Cassie, we have to do this, we have to, or you're not communicating, or you're not. We said we're gonna do this, and you can't be telling me you've pulled me up. So, I feel like
So you're pulling me up now on the camera.
I'm not pulling you up. I'm bringing up a topic that I want to hear
Yeah, I
more
know. I'm just
about.
with you. Like,
I want to hear what's going on in your mind. I want to hear because I could be misinterpreting it.
mm,
Maybe that's not what's going on, and you explaining is what's going to give me the perspective I need to better understand you. And I always feel like communication is the key.
right,
I want, if I am doing anything, you tell me.
right.
Same way, you're doing something, I tell you. That's how we stay connected. That's how we keep
Mm,
each other being at our best, right?
right.
So I want to know, do you feel like you're letting your purpose become your entire life?
Sometimes I feel that way
Mm-hmm.
because when I wake up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
my first thought is breaking the silence. I have an email to respond to. I have emails to respond to. I
Mm-hmm.
need to reach out to Cassie regarding something. I have this video to edit. I have this to upload. I have this social media page to manage, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've realized is during the business of it all, my relationship with God sometimes completely disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because the one person or source we're supposed to get our strength from is the one that we
Forget about and
forget
neglect.
about or distance ourselves
Yeah.
from. So I'm going to be honest and I'm going to say that is something that I'm still working on. It is very challenging, but I'm speaking for everybody, including myself. We need to carve out that time and be intentional and spend that time in the presence of God, because firstly God was the one who gave me the purpose.
Right.
And in order for me to steward that purpose well, I need to get my strength from Him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not when I get to the point of crisis where I'm burnt out and overwhelmed that I need to go back to the source. I think I'm doing it in reverse. I need to go to the source first
Mm-hmm.
before I do anything else. So I do
Okay.
appreciate you for pulling me up on this. It's definitely a work in progress, but I have always been wired that way. That when I have something to do, and I think I inherited that trait from my father.
Mm-hmm.
When I have something to do, I will push and I will do it
It's
until
almost like
it's
you're
done.
obsessive about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
become obsessive about it
Yeah.
until it's done.
Okay.
Because if I don't do it, it lingers and it bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, to the other person, it can feel like
they're not doing enough.
not just they're not doing enough. It feels like panic. Like it feels like, oh my gosh, it's Rochelle. Like, oh, like it just it does. It's very unsettling. It can feel like the atmosphere changes from we're doing this thing we love and it's great or whatever to you're not doing enough. You
Mm.
have to be doing eight things just like me and burning out just like
Mm.
me. And
But that's never my
I
intention.
know, I know.
Because as I
Mm,
always tell you, Cassie, if you can't do it, then I will
let
do
you
it. And
know.
I'm perfectly fine with doing it alone.
Yeah, but then
But then I know you
I'm
feel
telling
like
you, Rochelle. But listen, this is how it feels for me.
uh
Because if you can't do it, I will do it. But I know you burnt out and you're still forcing yourself to do it. So I still feeling that
yeah, I
pressure.
get
And then
that.
I feeling like, oh, then I should force myself to do it because I don't want
Right.
Rochelle
And it
to do
shouldn't be
it.
that
So
way.
then it's like, I'm like, well, Rochelle, you're doing, you don't do it. How about the two of us just don't do it? Let's do it next week instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
it's like
totally
I
get
trying
that.
to alleviate the pressure for both of us and just push it
Mm,
back. But then you will say, no, but our people they're waiting for this, and then okay, that's true. So it's like getting
yeah,
that
we have to find the
balance. Yeah,
balance.
finding that
Balance. Yeah.
balance.
And
So
it's not so easy. It's easier said
yeah,
than done, especially when you're passionate about
yeah,
something and you're
yeah.
working towards something and that thing is giving you that satisfaction and that joy.
Mhm.
It's like you have to get it done.
Yeah.
Because if it was something that I wasn't passionate about, of course I'd say I'll do that next week. I'll do that
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but I just want to leave this with the viewers that we should always prioritize our time with God above all else,
Yeah,
as urgent as whatever it is may seem
you're
like.
right.
We have to seek God first, and trust me, everything will
Fall
follow.
into
And it
place.
is something that I'm still working on. I haven't mastered it as yet.
But it sounds like what you're saying is it's not it's less about the things you have to do and more about your strengthening your relationship with God. Meaning, yes, you could still have all these things to do, but the stronger your relationship is with Him,
The
the
more
more
at peace,
capable,
and the more at
right,
peace I will be in doing
right.
those
It
things.
gives you the strength to actually do the
Right,
things so that
right.
you're not overwhelmed and you're not, okay,
Mm,
well,
yes.
I understand that completely.
Yes.
So this next segment, I'm really looking for your perspective, Rochelle, because my perspective might be very different. It's feeling disqualified when you're still in sin,
Right.
or because you're still battling with sin.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's a complicated question. I'm asking it and I'm thinking six different things in my, it could be six different things because I'm also thinking when you say sin, what do you mean? Because a lot of people, like, we have the Bible, but there are a lot of people who categorize certain things as sin that may not be in the Bible. Like, right? Like
Mm,
maybe going out to a club, is going out to the club a sin? Maybe not. Is it an explicit sin? But there
mm.
are people, and there are uh people in the church, they feel like that is.
Yeah.
So for
I,
me, it's very complicated, so I would love to know what that means to you.
so when I think of the phrase feeling disqualified because I'm still battling with sin, for a lot of persons, when you speak about your relationship with God, you speak about faith, you speak about purpose, they expect you to live your life in a certain way, right? In sort of a sinless way. But that in itself is, to me, is sort of impossible
Hmm.
because we as humans, we wrestle with the flesh,
Hmm.
right? So there are still things that I engage in, and when I end up doing it or engaging in it, maybe not like premeditated, I just happen to give in to the flesh and I do it. When I sit and I reflect,
Hmm.
I will be like, oh, I am not in a position to be speaking about God or to be speaking about faith or
Hmm.
to even be carrying this purpose because
Oh, okay.
I there are things that I still need to work on. So, for instance, as you said, persons might see me at the club and say, "Oh, this is the young lady who talks about faith and purpose and whatever." And watch her; she's drinking alcohol, she's getting on wild, she's getting on bad, and so on.
But
Now,
who
that
said
that's
those
that's
things are
not
bad?
who says what. Sorry,
Who said that those things are bad?
it is. Well, again, that's a very
Isn't there a
controversial
story in the Bible
topic.
of Jesus being at a party or a wedding and he turned water into wine? And like, what? Why are we
But if you
making
look
those
at
things?
our society today, I'm
Mm-hmm.
certain that's not how it was back then in terms of how we conduct ourselves.
Yeah, but that
Um,
don't mean you conducting yourself like the other
the
people
level of
conducting
alcohol that
themselves.
we consume, we're
Yeah.
not sober minded. So the chances of us engaging in even more sinful
Yeah, but
activities
that's
is
not true for
higher.
you. Listen.
No, I'm just speaking in general. I'm not saying that's what I
Yeah.
wrestle with.
Yeah, but
Um,
I
but
disagree with just because somebody else will do wild stuff when they drink doesn't mean I will. So
yeah,
to
so that's
make
just an
drinking in general
example.
a bad thing is not, I don't agree with that. With the Christians that say that. And they have every right to have their
But
opinion.
that's just an example. So, for
Yeah.
instance, the Bible speaks on fornication, adultery, and
Mm,
this and that. And whilst you may not be engaging in it,
mm.
you may slip up and end up doing it. And that doesn't erase all the conversations you've had about purpose, faith, God, your relationship with Him, and so on. So people that may find out about that, they may look at you in a certain way and say, oh, she's in no position to speak on that. But I want people to understand that we are all human and we all wrestle with the flesh. So it's expected that we will falter sometimes.
I have a question. A lot of people who do that judge and say, oh, how does she feel qualified to speak on this thing where she drinks or she's at a club or whatever? I want to ask you something.
He without sin cast the first stone.
Period. Not just that. I want to ask, think about this. Think about all the stories of Jesus in the Bible. Did he do that to people? People trying to change their life or trying to do good. Or maybe they're not trying to do good. Maybe they're lost. How did he treat them?
Lovingly.
Think about, okay, why you saying you love Jesus, you want to be like him, but you're doing the opposite of what he was doing.
Exactly.
I don't understand that. It's almost like, let's say there is a young lady, maybe she's a stripper or she's doing whatever she feels she has to do to survive. Because a lot of people, they end up in situations and it's about survival for them because of their circumstances. Maybe they came from a family that they didn't have resources. That is where life put them. That's where they are. And she wants to change her life or she wants to go on a different path and she starts coming to church. Right? I want to ask you something. I think Jesus would tell her, welcome. Wow. Thank you for coming.
God says, come as you are.
Maybe she has the wrong outfit, but because of her life circumstances,
and then other people will be judging her because of her outfit.
Right. But despite the outfit, she wants the help, so she's coming.
Right.
You know what Jesus will do? Oh, come, let me help. Okay,
come as you are.
Know what? I have these clothes at my home. You want some? I can give you want something. That's what. But is that what some of the people in the church doing? No. What you have on a day? The girl bound to wear that. The girl bound. Stop judging people and preaching, oh, Christ, 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 and you're not acting like, you're not reacting the way he would react. If you want to be like Christ and you see somebody in the church not dressed well, instead of bad talking them, go to them and offer them some help. You have a closet full of clothes you're not using all, give her some of the clothes maybe she don't have. Come from a mindset of helping people than just looking at them and judging them. What we're doing right now, what you're doing right now, being vulnerable, is bravery. You're trying to help people and you don't have to be perfect to help people. You don't have to be perfect to speak on things that you're trying to improve for yourself too. And anybody judging you about it, that's their problem. And they're not acting how Jesus would act. And they need to think about that for themselves. So I don't think you should feel disqualified because you're still living in quote unquote sin. Even that I disagree with, because God created us knowing we're not perfect, knowing we're going to have battles. It is part of life to figure it out.
But just putting yourself out publicly, sometimes it can be very dangerous mentally, because you start to think, as much as what everything that you're saying is correct, and the people should not judge, it still has that impact on you where you feel like, oh my gosh, I keep slipping up, I keep doing that sin that I want to stay away from, or I want to stop, but yet still I'm out there preaching the Bible, quoting verses, and doing this and that. That's why I say sometimes I feel like I am disqualified to do something like that. And all of that comes with purpose, especially the type of purpose that I am living.
I completely understand where you're coming from, Rochelle. And it helps me understand you a bit better and why you can be so conflicted about certain things sometimes. But I want you to give yourself some grace. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Carrying a lot. And without you, breaking the silence would not exist. You created a movement. It is not about you being perfect. And we never claim to be perfect. We never
Nobody is.
claim to be to know everything and that we have it all together. This is not what this is about. This is about just trying to improve our
Mm.
mental health
And speak on things that people
and
don't often talk about.
open it up to others who may get something from it.
Mm.
That is really what it is. We never claim to be perfect. So I don't think you should be holding yourself to that rigid standard where you have to be a nun for you to be able to
Sorry.
speak your mind. This is about speaking our mind and being
Right.
honest and being real. Like
Mm.
people are afraid to be real.
Yeah.
Be real. And that's why we find ourselves in with these mental health issues in the first place because of all of these pressures where we holding ourselves to these impossible
Standards.
standards.
I agree.
So, Rochelle,
Yes.
I want you to talk directly to the people out there who might still be struggling with three things. One, maybe they're still figuring out their purpose, right? They're still trying to figure out what is it that I'm meant to be doing so I can finally feel like I'm making an impact, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and feel settled. Or maybe they know what their purpose is, but they're struggling to say yes because of what comes with it. Maybe it's a hard road, right? Or maybe they've already said yes, and like you, they have their moments where it gets exhausting and the road is hard and they feel like, oh my gosh, can I keep going?
Mm.
What can you say to them?
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the person who is still trying to figure out what their purpose is. First off, I want to tell you, don't rush the process. Because when I look back years ago, I was constantly asking God, what is my purpose? Only now to realize that everything I have gone through in the past, it was preparing me for my purpose. So my encouragement to you is to not feel discouraged, continue to pray, continue to seek God, and continue to pay attention to the things that He has placed on your heart, the things that keep coming back, the thing that keeps igniting that flame or that passion within you. That may well be your purpose. So don't give up. And to the person who knows what God has called them to do, but they're struggling to say yes, I want you to know that fear doesn't mean that you're not called. Because even with me, I struggled to say yes and to put myself out there and to be vulnerable and to possibly be judged. But I want you to know that obedience does not mean that you have to be confident. You just have to be obedient and trust that God will see you through it, because trust me, He always does, even when we don't see how. The moment you take that first step and you say yes, God, everything will start flowing. Not to say it's going to be easy. As I said, there will be seasons where you will be stretched thin, but all of that is part of character being built within you. And if you've said yes to your calling, like I have, don't be or don't feel like a failure on days when you feel like things are not going your way. The finances does not make sense, growth feels slow, and so on. Continue pushing through. All of this is preparation for something greater to come. So I just want to tell that person that you're doing an amazing job, even on days when you feel like you're not doing enough. Trust me, you're doing enough, and you're exactly where God wants you to be in this season. Maybe He's trying to teach you something. You may not see the value of it in this moment, but looking back, you will see why it took so long, or why it is taking so long for you to get to where you want to be.
So, I do want to say or speak about something I've learned about judgment and negativity, and when that comes from other people. Um, a lot of the time it has more to do with the person than you. It's things that they see within themselves. It's sometimes something you said remind them of something that they don't like about themselves, and they're directing it at you, and it usually has nothing to do with you. Because think about it, if you're listening to the radio station and a song plays and you don't really like it, you change it and you listen to the next song. You change the station. You listen to YouTube. Oh, I don't really like. You move and you go on to
Mm,
something else. It is natural, if you're not having a good time or a good experience with something, to go look for what you do like or what
right.
what makes you feel good. So to, instead of doing that and to actually stay in the negativity, comment and like keep it going, judge people, I feel like that has, there is something about you that is, you're keeping that energy around you. So
Mm,
when you get that from other people, you have to strengthen your muscle and learn how to not care about the negativity and the judgment. Because
yep.
at the end of the day, there are much more people out there you impacting positively, and they're actually getting value from it. Even if it's just to help them assess their own situation and say, you know what she said, I haven't thought about that. Let me think about that for myself. You know what? I've been going through this thing too. I've been depressed too. Maybe you can be that person to encourage somebody to finally seek professional help to get
Mm,
out of what situation they're in. There are people in dangerous situations out there.
very much
Think about it, getting encouragement from you while somebody else judging you for something silly. You cannot listen. That's their
yeah.
business. Let them let them talk to God about
Yes,
that.
focus on the positive and the
Yes.
majority that you're impacting.
Now that we're saying we're focusing on the positive, we spoke a lot about the battles. I want to hear about the joys.
Oh, guys, let me tell y'all, this journey has been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just the opportunities that we've been blessed with, the
Mm-hmm.
people that we've been blessed with, or the
Mm-hmm.
connections that we've made,
Mm-hmm.
the healing conversations we've
Oh,
had, the
girl.
persons we've helped in the peer support and empowerment
Oh,
session, our
yes.
women support group.
Mm-hmm.
The collaborations have been amazing. I
Girl,
would have never imagined meeting persons across the globe.
yes.
Let
And
me
they've
tell
listened.
you.
Some of them, their testimony has brought us to tears, and even some of the professionals we've spoken to,
Yeah.
we're after our interview, when they went deeper, it turned into a testimony. It turned into
Mm-hmm.
them speaking good on our lives and us feeling the good energy from that. And not just that, being that they're professionals, we got a lot of value for ourselves
Ourselves.
as
Yes.
well,
That's why I keep
to
saying
change our
that we're
lives for the
healing too. We're
better.
healing too. We're
And
growing too.
girl, we've had times we on the call afterwards and we're crying because the person we were interviewing said something that hit us so
So,
hard. It felt like they were talking to us.
like
And
God send them to give us a word.
yeah, and the healing we've gotten, there is joy.
There is
Listen,
joy. There is pure joy.
this
We
has
have the hard days, but we have the good days as well,
this
and
has
we look
been,
forward to many more good
not
days.
just that, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I feel like
Yes,
even the bad days are even part of it.
yeah,
Like
it's
it's
part of the process.
exactly, and it makes the good days even better.
Yes, because you see the value in the bad days,
Mm,
even though in the moment you can't see it, but when
mhm,
you look back, you're like, oh, I had to
mhm.
go through this to get
So,
here.
how are you feeling right now at this moment and in your journey with BTS? And what are the things you're working on and you have hope for in the future?
I feel good, especially after the conversation that we've just had. I feel a little lighter because
Good.
I've been wanting to speak on those different things that we spoke on.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like BTS is still in the growing stage, but I've seen a lot of growth so far. And I look forward to the many things that we've spoken about.
More growth.
Yes, more growth. And I'm just excited for what's to come, the events that we plan to have, the lives that we plan to impact, the more connections that we hope to make. And guys, feel free to reach out to us in whatever capacity that you feel like we can assist you with, or you want us to be on your show, or you want to be a guest on the podcast, or you want to collaborate with us on something. We're open to it. Of course, we're going to take it to God first, but we will consider it, and we'll give you a listening ear. So don't feel like, because remember, we're a community and we're all growing together.
It's all about creating a safe space to normalize speaking about mental health. At the end of the day, we are all alive. Is life really worth living if you're unhappy all the time? Let us do this together and figure out how to create great lives for ourselves. Not lives without any kind of challenges. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, the challenges are inevitable.
But learning the tools to navigate them so they won't impact us in a way where we're constantly depressed, where we can move out of that. That's really what it's about. That's really like the core of it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to continue the journey, and I'm happy that it's with you.
Oh, let me tell you, I am super excited to continue this journey with you.
Yes.
But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Breaking the Silence, where we speak on things that people don't often talk about loud. Until next time, bye.
Bye.